Hey guys, welcome back to the Retro Room. I think it's about time that the quad flopping machine that's just, down, underneath this desk, needs a bit of for a number of reasons, that needs a little upgraded system. What we have here, I hope we can get this to work for it, but this is a board that's been on the channel before. Yeah, this board here, after I looked him up, is a Chaintech CT6Z or 6Z SA, running a Intel 440ZX chipset. It is slot 1. It has 256 megs of RAM on it, which is apparently this board's maximum, or its theoretical maximum. We might push that later. It uses SD RAM, only has 2 slots on here with looks like a blank spot for a third, which I might see about. Who am I kidding? I'm pretty lazy. That may not happen. This is the processor here, the slot 1, the Pentium 3 600. Yes, 600 with 256, I think that's K of cache, 100 megahertz bus, runs at 1.65 volts. Before we do anything with this, let's make sure that this will actually boot. For that, we will need a video card, because this, unlike the other Pentium 3 system we saw on here, does not have built-in video. Here on the end, it has keyboard and mouse, which are both PS2. It does have USB, which will be very handy. A pair of serial ports, probably COM1 or COM2 or COM1, 4, 1, and 3, just however you wish to configure those. Parallel port, which may also come in handy. Game port and sound, because this does have an ESS, I can't read that, 1978S or 1976S sound chip built on board. Okay, let's pull up the display, and we'll see if we get life out of this machine. Well, this board, it's not a whole machine yet. Okay, we're hiding a bit of the board here, but this thing would prefer an AGP video, as you can see right here. But the PCI card was what I had on hand. See, I have my power supply here, and that screen window in the lower left-hand corner. Power plug to plug in the power supply. Power supply is on. We get no smoke. That's a good sign. Got to keep that smoke in there. Then I suppose the keyboard would be a good idea. We'll put him right there. We'll plug him in here. Keyboard, these are not color coded on this board, but keyboard is always the bottom. Mouse goes on top on a stacked unit like that. Now, this being ATX, we need to find the right pin on this pin header, which on this board is right here. This is what we call a micro ATX board. And 20 pin, which is the earlier ATX standard. A lot of modern power supplies can still plug into that standard. Not there. Found it. All right, looks like we have video. I don't have anything else plugged into this machine, so but it seems to work. All right. Let me get the quad floppy controller out of my quad floppy rig. Then we'll see if we can't get it to work with a very similar setup to what we had in the on the 386 quad floppy machine. And we're back. This is the quad flop controller. It has two floppy interface connections, both run through this one chip. This one was made by TechSelect, but it is open source hardware. You can find the information on how to make one of these for yourself with a little bit of searching. Pin 1 on here is just marked. It says pin 1 right next to where pin 1 is on both sockets. I'm going to plug the cables into this first, which we will need 2. This one will be for drives 0 and 1, or for A and B. These will be for what will probably end up as D and E, like it was on the quad flop on the old rig. Then I'm going to pop it right down here in this board's only ISA slot. Now, right over here we have floppy drives. Let's connect the GoTech as drive A, and the actual floppy drive is drive B, just like it was on the other rig. You remember those videos. Then the other was floppy drives. Which we have a couple. We have a 360K drive. This guy. This one is a Fujitsu model M2551A. Put that in the camera so you guys can see that. As far as I know, this drive works. Haven't used it in a while, but we will give that a shot now. This will be drive B on this controller. And drive A will be a 1.2, well, the primary drive on this channel, probably more accurate to say, will be a 1.2 megabyte drive. This one is a TIAC FD55GFR. You can see that label there. Looks like so. I would like all these drives to have black fronts for the case that we're going to put this in. But for now, we are going to see if this just works. plugging in power to all these floppy drives. There we go. Let's boot this up and we will see. Well, we'll see if we can get him to boot first. There it goes. First, let's get into the BIOS. Into integrated peripherals. And want to turn off the onboard floppy controller. But I am not seeing that. Onboard FDC controller is already disabled. Okay, standard CMOS setup. We want to turn this off to, make it say none for drive A and B. Then we will save and exit. And the boot ROM on the quad flop controller should take over. It looks like we have that on the screen, where the first and second drive on it, drive 0 and drive 1, are both 1.44 meg 3.5 inch. Drives 2 and 3 are 5 1/4 inch drives. Drive 2 being 1.2 megabyte or double-sided high density, and drive 3 is double-sided double density, making it 360 kilobytes. And it appears to be booting off of the GoTech, because the quad floppy has a status indicator and it's reading through track numbers from drive A, which is the GoTech. And apparently it was on a DOS 5 setup. We will exit out of that. And let me find some floppies and we'll do some playing around to see if this thing works properly, just like this. This may be a rather easy little video. I'll return with discs. This is a standard 1.44 meg floppy disk. We will put it in that drive. This very blue disk is a 360K disk that just happens to be vibrantly blue. We will move that mouse out of the way. Put him in the 360K drive. We have a 1.2 meg disk. This is a rather boring black, like most of those discs are in color. Not all of them, but most of them. The 1.2 meg disk just started spinning. Oh, it stopped. Okay. We go to B drive. This should be the actual 1.44 meg floppy drive. See if there's anything on that disk. It's taking its time. But it read the disk just fine. Looks like that's a boot disk of some sort. All right. The next drive in the chain should be C, which will be the 1.2 meg disk or drive right here. And it is. The drive spun. Looks like it's trying to read the disk. That disk may be blank though. You can hear it seeking. It is not blank. That is a boot disk too. I know the blue disk is not blank. And that drive spun right up too. You can see the disc spinning. That has Commander Keen on it. The first one. Well, that seems to be working just fine. All right, let's find something to use for a hard drive. Might as well use an actual hard drive on this guy, right? Then, because anything solid state I have is either a compact flash, that is 8 gigs maybe, or serial ATA, and neither one of those is really going to serve the purpose for what I'm trying to do here. Let's get a hard drive. We'll get Windows 98 installed, but I think I'll save all that for another video. We know the drives work and the board works. This was pretty easy and simple. This is going to be an upgraded quad floppy machine because there's software for imaging drives that I want that needs a more updated machine. It doesn't have to be, you know, a modern machine, but closer to modern than a 386 DX40. That'll make a nice little DOS box back there. But this will be a quick little video. I thank you for joining me on this one, and I hope to see you next time.